Okay, here we go. I'm putting my boots on here. This is Dom Fury of Fury Concrete. I'm the owner. Here I am putting my boots on, and we're going to get ready to pour this concrete. We got plastic up so we don't splash the house. And these guys, we put plywood down so they can roll up in there because there's a little bit of a cliff there. So we put a sheet of plywood down so we can just roll up in there and start pouring. Here they come. So they pour. I let them pour. We're pulling up the rebar. And they'll keep coming in here and pouring. And then usually what happens is I'll pour I fill in the haunch footing first, the perimeter footing on the end. Pull up the rebar a little bit so the rebar's in the, kind of like, it'll never get in the middle of the concrete, but at least it'll be up in somewhat of the concrete. So here we are, we fill the deepest end first, get this done. And now we start tapping the forms. You see I'm tapping it with a hammer. And what it does is it gets the air pockets out and the honeycomb out, so it's the concrete will, when we pull these forms off, it'll be less for us to fill in, and then we can just take a sponge and sponge it. That's like a foundation. So here I am, kind of using a come along here. Against the wall, I have a chalk line. It's a red line from a chalk box, and that's my guideline. So I make sure that the concrete don't go over that, because I lose that, I won't have a height. So we kind of feather it along there, and then what I'll do is take a mag and just kind of like mag it, or I might use my come along to act like a mag, so I don't have to bend over. And then you'll see us, we'll start straight edging here in a minute. Obviously we got to put this board in on the end, so this way they'll be able to dump over the concrete, or dump over the board to fill the rest in with concrete. So here we screw it in so it doesn't move, put a couple pins in, and then they'll bring in some more concrete, have it ready. And then once that's done, I'll get in there and I'll start straight edging. We take the plastic down so it's out of the way, and here's my son. He'll start straight edging with me. So he has a form to ride on, which he can just stay on the form. I don't have one. I basically use my come along as a mag against the wall, and I follow the red line. And then, as you can see, the straight edge leaves the concrete nice and smooth. Anywhere there's holes, we'll fill it in. The guy in there with a rake, he's basically filling in any voids or pulling any high spots out. So we'll come down here, and of course this is poured in October, so the concrete won't set up as fast because the weather's a lot cooler. So we'll be able to pour this, straight edge it, and then we'll start on the sidewalk. In a minute or two, you'll see us, we'll get out of here, and then we'll start working on the sidewalk down below. And then we'll bull float this later. Right now, if I went to bull float this, I would sink in here. The bull float weighs too much weight, and I would lose all my height. So right now, we got all our heights perfect. Okay, so now what we want to do is, when concrete stops to move, okay, concrete's not moving in the truck anymore, now it's laid, the concrete will start to set up. Plus, we have additives in here to set it up. There's hot water, there's a higher early that you have to put in here to accelerate the concrete, because if not, the concrete will just sit here. It's like pouring water in the middle of the street, In the summertime, the water evaporates. In the cooler weather, the water just stays there longer. And in the winter, it just stays there, period. So you have to put these additives in, and the company uses hot water. sets up the concrete faster. So now we're gonna move down to the sidewalk. Here we are. We let the truck pour. As you can see, that black strip, that's an expansion joint. We usually put them in every 20 minutes. Or 20 minutes. We put them in every 20 feet. 20 minutes. So here I am in here. I'm grading out. These guys are coming along. I'm skimming their forms off. Any low spots, I'll fill them in. Any high spots, I'll pull them down. And this is how we do it. So everybody has a thing. Everybody knows what they're doing. The truck can keep pouring and keep going along. And we'll be able to pull our board out of here in a minute. We'll get the board out. And the expansion will stay in the middle. And as you can see, the truck driver, he can still pour. We keep him in the middle. He don't need to float around. That's our job. And we just pat the concrete down, keep it to the forms. See, my son pulled the board out. We'll set the next board up down there. We'll put a piece of expansion right next to the board. So this way, the sidewalk is poured, every 20 feet with an expansion joint in. And as you can see, we just everybody knows what they're doing. So on jobs like this, you can use 3 guys, 4 guys. You start using 6, 7, 8 guys. I don't know. The only way you can use these 6, 7, 8 guys is that truck would have to keep on pouring constantly all the way down, and then the next crew can, so you could use 8 guys, but we're pretty efficient with four guys. As you can see how we're doing it. We'll run this all the way down to the end. And then we'll start putting lines in and all floating it, putting lines in. Okay, so here on the sidewalk, we're putting lines in with the pole joiner. Usually you would put the lines in with a hand joiner, and you would use a board to keep it straight. But here I am doing this, and I've been doing this for 34 years in business, so obviously for me, there's nothing I can't do as far as pouring concrete or finishing concrete. I can finish with any tool, doesn't matter, any finish, doesn't matter. So here I'm putting the joints in, and they don't have to be perfect. I try to eyeball them to make sure that they're kind of straight, but they don't have to be perfect until the concrete sets up a little bit more, and then you'll see we'll brass them up and then start finishing the concrete. See, nobody edged it yet. Okay, we're just trying to keep it flat, get the sides flat. See, a lot of people make a mistake and they get on concrete too fast. So for instance, when they're laying concrete, then they want to get down there and edge it, but then you lose all your heights, you strip your forms, and then your edging looks like waves. So the object in concrete is to have patience. See, this guy, he's getting all the lines out to make it even with the concrete, see? And now here we are, we're going to finish this concrete. So here I am brassing them up. We call brassing the joint up. That means it's stiffened up the concrete, and I run that joint through, and then that'll be the end. These guys won't have to do any joining. All they'll have to do is mag up, get some cream, edge it, and trowel right across, just like you see this guy doing here. And, it's a lot easier, when you're doing sidewalk to go straight across from one joint to the other. As you can see this guy doing, see, straight across, come back. And this way you're not closing the joint up. I like the joints to be open and clean, the edging nice and round. You're an artist. When I teach people concrete, like I taught these guys, you see my son, then I taught this other guy. Okay? Here he is. He's got to put he's doing a bookie. He must be placing a bet on the game. Nah, I don't know. So anyway, you see my son, he's edging. You have an edger tool. We don't close the edge. See how he's traveling it away from the edge. So this way, when it's finished, you still have a nice round edge. You have your joints. They're nice and open. And when I teach these guys, I tell them you're an artist. You're not a concrete finisher. You're an artist. Some artists are better than other artists. Okay? So that's how it works. We all get the same tools. You went to the store, you bought the tools, they would be the same tools that I use. The only difference is, and we all have two eyes, except that once you learn the concept of what you're supposed to be doing down there, okay, and what it's supposed to look like when you're finished, then you become, you're an artist. You're making it in this concept. We're trying to get it nice and flat. So you'll see later on that I put a broom across it for traction. And when it's done, the people will still see their edging, the round edging, which the grass will go up next. And the people will still see their lines nice and open and straight for their joints. Okay, so here we are. I put a broom across. If I can do it one time and it looks good, it's fine. If not, sometimes you gotta pull the broom across twice. You'll see it on this next thing. Once, twice, 3 times, whatever it takes to make the broom look the same. You know, and now, like I said, this is for traction so people don't slip and fall. You know, now see over here, the leaves are coming on here. It doesn't matter now. Once I broom, the leaves can go on there. It doesn't matter. Okay, up here we're stripping our forms. Like I told you, we poured the patio. I put the joint line in. And up here we got it all hand troweled, so we were on it, you know, with knee boards and all. Because we have to make it nice and tight up against the house. And so here now, it hasn't been broomed, but I have to wait. So we pulled the concrete already set up enough, you know, so we're pulling these forms out. We're going to slide them out. Instead of pulling them off where all the concrete comes off on the boards, I like to slide them out. And what it does is it keeps all the concrete next, you know, on the concrete itself, so you don't have as much on the boards. So what he's doing is he's skimming any of the cream air, so if I gotta fill in any of the spots, which usually you have a little bit of honeycomb, or you have air pockets. Once I do that, then I take a sponge and I sponge it as if you're doing a foundation on a house, and that's how it'll be left. It's just another way of finishing concrete with a sponge, and it leaves it with a texture. So that's what I'm doing here. And as you can see, the forms are set for the sidewalk, and it's at a lower elevation than, you know, the patio. So that's why we needed a perimeter footing there. So I'll snap a line on the outside of this wall here. We call it a wall. And I'll snap a line on there, and that's the sidewalk will start near the top here. And of course, near the driveway, it's lower, so that the angle will be a lot lower coming down. And that's it. So if you like what you've seen, you subscribe to them, give us some feedback on it, and subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep posting videos for you so you can understand concrete more.